First Samuel, this documents the transition from Israel being a theocracy, which means a nation led by God, to a monarchy, which means a nation led by a king. So it starts off with the birth of Samuel, Israel's last judge. So Hannah was Samuel's mother, and Hannah was unable to conceive a child for so long, and she cried out to God and made a vow to God, saying she would dedicate and give the child to the church, to the Lord. And God answered and gave Hannah a child. So at a young age, Hannah gave away Samuel to be a priest, and he worked under the priest and the judge Eli, and eventually became Israel's last priest. And then there was more war with the Philistines. Israel went into war with the Philistines. Saul became Israel's first king. So this was that transition I was talking about, because the people of Israel were sick of having judges and they wanted an actual king to lead the nation. And God didn't really want this to happen, but he agreed, and Saul became the first king of Israel. But Saul was not a very good king. He disobeyed God a lot, and God actually regretted making Saul king. So Samuel sneaks off and goes to the house of Jesse and finds a little shepherd boy named David and anoints, and God tells Samuel to anoint David to be king. So he's not really king yet, but he's kind of been blessed, anointed to be the next king. And then we have the famous story of David killing Goliath. He was like just supposed to bring cheese and bread to his brothers who were fighting, and he ends up having the courage to take on Goliath and kill him with a sling, which was one of the most famous stories of the Bible. And then we have Saul sees how David, after he kills Goliath, he becomes this great warrior, this great leader of the army, and he's killing so many Philistines and winning so many battles. And Saul gets jealous and tries to kill David, so he pursues David. David gets to a point 2 times where he could kill Saul, but he spares his life both times. And eventually Saul dies in battle. And that's where we end 1 Samuel. And the verse I chose was from 1 Samuel 17:45, and this was when David was preparing to face Goliath. And he says, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." So yeah, he had no fear in facing Goliath, which is awesome. And yeah, that is 1 Samuel, guys. Thanks for all the support. See you guys tomorrow.